Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Thursday Night Gridiron here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am Mark Oldup's Guy Halpern. Along with me is Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy. Bill, good evening.
Hello, Mark. How are you this evening?
I am okay. How are you doing, Billy Boy?
I'm doing all right. We're alive. That's a good thing.
Yes, we are alive. We are kicking. We are here for our Thursday night game between the Raiders and Rams. So, Bill, why don't you take us into it?
All right. Well, tonight we got an interesting game for you folks. We got the you know what? To be honest, isn't really that interesting of a game.
Not really, but
No offense to the great cities of Las Vegas and Los Angeles.
no, but this
Vegas
should have been a
Adventure,
better
you're
game
awesome.
than what it is looking to be. It should have been a much more important game.
But hey, the NFL doesn't have a crystal ball. They can't flex games to Thursday night, so we got what we got.
Correct.
So tonight's game is between the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland and the Los Angeles Rams of St. Louis and of Los Angeles.
Well, they are from St. Louis too, so that's okay.
Yeah, so we got to put everything. Okay, so we're going to start with this. The Raiders, they've won 3 in a row. Do you think they can make a run to the playoffs?
I mean, anything is possible, especially in football. You look at what this Raiders team has kind of done throughout the season, and you have to be a little bit encouraged over the last, month, as they have just slowly been climbing out of the cellar. Devontae Adams has been doing a much better job, but I think it really is coming down on the legs of Josh Jacobs lately is why the Raiders are seeing a lot of success. He's been a true ground and pound running back, and if you keep this up, they can move past and get into the playoffs. It's a possibility.
Well, I can agree with you, but here is where I will. But there are some caveats though, and that caveat is you've got to look at the playoff picture right now you have to look at the NFL playoff picture right now as it stands. If you look at the AFC playoff picture, the Raiders are at number 10. So they are on the outside looking in, and they got three teams on top of them right now. You have the Chargers at number 9, the Patriots at number 8, and the Jets at number 7.
And all three are much better teams than the Las Vegas Raiders.
And so I think if they're going to win, if they're going to make the playoffs, a lot of things need to happen. And here are the Raiders' remaining games. After tonight, they have New England, which I think they could win. What do you think?
Look, this is a game they should win. This is not, and we'll get into that in a little bit about Los Angeles. This is not the same team that was last year. They've been faltering. They're missing 2 of their biggest offensive weapons. So I don't see a reason why the Raiders cannot win tonight.
You also, after the Patriots, you have the Steelers, which they should win, again, should. But then your last 2 games of the year, you have the 49ers and the Chiefs.
And in all seriousness, it kind of depends on what those 2 teams are going to throw on the field at that point. If you're the Chiefs, you're already probably locking up home field advantage, so you're going to be able to afford to sit people. If you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're possibly looking for the division win and then possibly looking to get that bye week. So I think the Raiders have a tough ending because of the teams that might come on the field at that point.
And like I said, Mark, they are not in control of their own destiny.
No, they need a lot of help from everywhere. I mean, if the season were to end today, obviously the following teams: Buffalo, Miami, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Titans, and the Chiefs would be in. Everybody else would be pretty much looking out and in. But it's not over yet. We still got some football to play. So we'll see who does the speaking.
Yeah, I'm going to say no because, like I said, if they were at the number 8 or even the number 9 seed, I would say, okay, there's a possibility because you would only need like 1 or 2 other teams. You know, you would need things to happen then.
Yeah.
But since you're number 10 and you have 3 teams ahead of you, you need a lot of things to happen.
Well, you got to ask what needs to happen. Besides, you can put a blanket statement out there saying that a lot of things have to happen. They have to somehow or some way. I mean, they're only a game behind the Chargers, which is fine, but they have to be in a position where they're at the same record as the Cincinnati Bengals to be able to make it into the playoffs. It's going to be a very tough climb, but it's a possibility. But,
absolutely.
But as we've seen over many of the years, we've seen teams with outstanding records get left out because of certain rules. Hopefully this new rule with how the wild card is going to put us forward to where we want the playoffs to be.
Yeah. Okay, so that was talk about could they make the playoffs. Now, as we look towards the end of this season and see what's going to happen to the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland, if they miss the playoffs, if you're Mark Davis, you miss the playoffs, who's more likely to be back? Josh McDaniels or Derek Carr?
If I'm Mark Davis, well, 2 marks make a right. So in this case, I was a big fan of Derek Carr when he first came out, and I'm becoming to like him a lot more lately. I don't think he has a chance to win a Super Bowl with Las Vegas. I think he needs to go to a more offense stability team. I mean, getting him Devontae Adams was the right move, but they're still at the bottom of the division. So it's not just one piece that makes a team win. He needs every little part. Now, Josh Jacobs has been, as of late, been one of the best running backs in football. But if I have to decide, I'm letting Derek Carr go where he wants to go, and I'm keeping McDaniel.
Here's my take on this one. Like, they say that what's his face? McDaniels is going to be back for next year. That's what I'm hearing. But if I were to make, and like, I think McDaniels should be gone, but I think maybe letting him loose after one season is not the best choice. But here's something that I always can't stand. McDaniels is a Belichick wannabe. And they always, and I've said this millions of times, people who work under Belichick, I think the idea of someone who worked under Belichick is more appealing than the actual result. Agree or disagree, Mark?
That's actually a pretty fair statement. And I agree with you.
Because they're all, he worked under Belichick. He's going to be great. And he ends up sucking.
I mean, and it's not just coaches that end up like that. This is players from around the league who let's look at Mac Jones. I mean, an unfortunate perfect example. Last year, taken, 14th or 15th, whichever it was in the draft, had an amazing year. And now you have an amazing year. Why aren't you getting him weapons to work with? That's just a problem that happens in football. So it's not just always coaches who get a bad rep. Players aren't given what they needed to perform with. So,
Yeah. Well, because there were claims that that Josh McDaniels lost the locker room, and Josh Jacobs that fired back and defended him and said no, he hasn't. But that being said, I don't think McDaniels should go. I think maybe it's time. Maybe McDaniels just needs a new quarterback.
in any system, you're either going to have the right players in the right positions, or you're going to end up having the right players, but just not with the right team. Derek Carr is a very good quarterback. He's very accurate, but he just has not been given the help. Yeah, they get him Devontae Adams this year, but as I said, it's not propelled them to where they need to be.
So if Derek Carr is gone next year, who do you think is going to be a suitable replacement?
That's a very good question. Yeah. You want to know who I can see ending up there, and he's actually starting against them tonight, is Baker Mayfield.
I was actually thinking about him too, actually.
I think Baker Mayfield is the type of quarterback they could use in Las Vegas. I think the system fits him very well. There's weapons for him there. Now, the signing of him, look, not to take anything away from Derek Carr, he's a good quarterback, but I just think Baker is primed for that position, for that team.
I'm going to agree with you on that, because I was actually thinking about Baker Mayfield as well, because I think you have a younger face, someone who's younger, and you have to give him the weapons. I think he'd be a good replacement for Derek Carr. And I know this is probably a pipe dream, but if just hear me out. If there's a possibility that if a certain team in Wisconsin has their quarterback not come back, maybe Mr. Devontae Adams will have a little reunion with said quarterback.
That's very, very, very improbable. Possible, but improbable. I think no matter what, your $150 million quarterback that we're talking about in Green Bay's done in Green Bay anyway. And he's going to end up, I have a feeling, on a team on the East Coast, but that's a talk for another time.
But but maybe listen, I'm not saying that's 100% definitely going to happen. Don't hold me to that. I'm just saying that said quarterback from Wisconsin coming to Vegas and being reunited with his old wide receiver.
It actually does make sense, but I don't know if the Raiders, with what they've paid out, have the salary cap room for somebody like Rodgers. So
I think the good people knew who I was talking about. Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
And if that happened, we'd hear our dear friend and fearless leader, Lawrence Patchman Lang, crying from miles away.
Yeah, I think Patchy might commit Harry Carey if that happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think Mayfield could be a potential pick. But if McDaniels gets, I want to run on this for a second. If McDaniels gets shown the door, who do you think could replace him?
There's a lot of names, and it's going to depend on what happens with a couple of leading teams at the end of this year. I could see if, let's just make instance, Dallas Cowboys don't make the Super Bowl, that Mike McCarthy will be shown the door. Sean Payton will be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys, but I could see Mike McCarthy going
To Vegas.
To Vegas. That could be a possibility. I think you have other possibilities that you could see Sean Payton in Vegas because personally, I never get the point if your coach takes you to a Super Bowl, why you would let him go. That's just my always stance. But the coaching system in one team is different from another. So you have to, it would take a lot. It's a lot of names that would fit the bill, but Sean Payton would have to be at the top of the list.
If Sean Payton were to go to Vegas, I think maybe let's again hypothetically say Raiders cut Carr and they bring in Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have someone like Sean Payton look with him and Drew Brees.
Exactly. That's why Sean Payton would make a very obvious
maybe
choice.
Baker Mayfield can be Sean Payton's new Drew Brees.
Yeah, and it's a possibility. But, Baker still has to do something in this league that he's yet to do, and that's prove himself. So he's getting a lucky chance here with the Rams. We'll see what he does with it.
Okay, so that's with the McDaniels and a Carr. Now, want to ask about a certain running back. Josh Jacobs, who's been having a great season so far. 242 rushing attempts, 1,303 rushing yards, and 10 rushing touchdowns. At the end of the season, Josh Jacobs is a free agent. So, what do you think is going to happen? Are the Raiders going to re-sign him, or is he going elsewhere?
Again, the $64,000 question. You have Devontae Adams is there for the near future. You have a system that's working. I mean, there would be no reason not to bring Josh Jacobs back. The only reason Jacobs would not want to come back is that he doesn't see a chance to go anywhere with the Raiders in the long run. And I know I've gotten very bad feedback on what I thought is going to happen from our boys here at the Sports Insanity Network. But I said that Josh Jacobs, if he doesn't sign back with the Raiders, is going to end up in Seattle.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Josh Jacobs, if a certain running back in New Jersey / New York decides to not come back to this certain team, Josh, we're waiting for you.
See, the one thing to put a smile on your face, Bill, would be very easy, is that I can see Aaron Rodgers going to the Giants. And then Saquon Barkley would stay, and then the Giants, if they were really to commit like that, I don't know if Odell Beckham's going to get signed. And I know we're not really supposed to be talking about this now, but I'm one of the heads, so I can put us on a quick tangent. I don't think Odell Beckham is going to sign for what the teams such as Dallas, the Bills, and the Giants want. I think in all reality is that he won't be ready till next year. And I don't think there are teams that are ready to hand out $20 million to somebody in that instance. Now getting us back to where we are with Josh Jacobs really now proving himself. But is he proving himself better now because, hey, this is a contract year for him? Or is this the Josh Jacobs we've been waiting for to emerge, even though his first couple of years were okay, but injury prone?
Yeah, that's what you got. That's what you got to look into. Like, is he going to be injury prone? So this is what I have to say. Why do you see Josh Jacobs going to Seattle?
Well, Seattle is just, is a nice rebuilding organization. I mean, yes, it's being led by a quarterback who, when drafted, I thought was going to be a perennial Super Bowl quarterback from Geno Smith. I really had a lot of confidence in Geno Smith, from New York, and he's really had a bad rep, but he has found a home in Seattle, and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett are having great years. You're getting Disley, and Walker, as a rookie, has had a very, very good rookie season. But I see this as a landing spot for Jacobs, not only because of his talents, but I think because that offense is geared right the same way it is for him in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is geared with him in that he is in Las Vegas, but offers a better chance at winning.
Yeah, I think, I think those are good points. But like I said, Saquon doesn't come back.
Then Josh Jacobs, I could see absolutely coming to the Giants.
Josh, we're waiting for you in New York / New Jersey. We're waiting for you. Come on, buddy. Put the jersey on. We need you. We need you if Saquon goes bye-bye. We need someone to fill that void. Josh, first of all, I hope Saquon, please resign. Please resign. Please resign.
Mike Rifkin, I'm sorry. I know this is not in your rundown, but we're going to go there anyway because I can, and I have Bill right in front of me. Bill, unless the Giants can put themselves into the playoffs, there's no way Saquon Barkley stays. I'm sorry. And we'll get into this as we get to the end of the season. But the guy, mind you, had 2 injury-riddled seasons, and it's had a great reemergence this year, but I think he's going to vamoose. But don't worry, we'll feature Bill's crying eyes on that podcast, especially.
What, Bill being depressed over Saquon going away?
Yes, probably.
And with the Air Supply song "All Out of Love" playing in the background.
Right.
But anyway, no, we can't do that. We get hit with a copyright strike. But anyway, flipping the ball to the Los Angeles Rams of St. Louis, who are having probably the worst case of Super Bowl hangover I think from any team.
Unfortunately, the Rams, coming into the season looked as poised as they did last year. I mean, very prominent team. Yeah, I mean, the only thing really they were lacking in, to me, even with 2 capable running backs, was a running game. But this is a team that's been riddled with injuries. I mean, they've just had no luck. You've lost Cooper Kupp pretty much for the season. You've lost now Matt Stafford for the year now that you have Baker in there. They've lost big keys on the offensive line. They are not the same team they were. They're a shell of themselves. But at least, Matt Stafford got a Super Bowl before his time is done. Matt Stafford's been in the league for a long time. He's old. That's all it is. It's time to draft a new quarterback or bring somebody younger in, and time to take over.
But and here's the thing though. It's like when drafting quarterbacks, they're not getting another first-round pick for a while.
Well, that's kind of a problem, yeah.
They basically sold their soul. In the words of my dad, they sold their soul to get a Super Bowl.
But is there anything wrong with that?
Not really. Okay, yeah, you won a Super Bowl, and yeah, I was happy last year that Matt Stafford finally won a Super Bowl. I've always liked Matt Stafford, but
it's the same thing as the New York Mets. I'm going to say they're putting a winning team on the field by spending the most money to do it. The team that spends the most money should be winning it every year.
Now you have Stafford's out. Now you have Stafford's out. You have Kupp's out, which is terrible for me because, again, the Murphy first pick in the fantasy football curse continues. This is the 3rd year that this has happened to me. I am very upset about this. Kupp's out, Stafford's out. I think those are the big things that would happen. It's just injuries, and you got to look at the facts here. Matt Stafford's 35 years old.
Mhm. Guy can still sling a ball, though.
And no, but this is an area of concern here. You got to agree with me here on this one.
I'm not disagreeing with you. We pretty much know that the average age of a quarterback to retire is around 37 years old. Okay, yes, there are quarterbacks out there that have defied the laws of physics, namely Tom Brady, Andy Dalton, Kurt Warner, going way back. There are quarterbacks that are fit to play in their 40s. Drew Brees, Matt Stafford isn't that quarterback because of the amount of bangs and hits and clangs he took in Detroit. So he had a nice kind of easy year last year where he wasn't sacked a lot. He wasn't pressured, wasn't hit a lot, and he won a Super Bowl. Good for him. I was happy, like you said. I was happy Matt Stafford won it. But is he done? It's very distinctively so, yes. I don't think he's going to be a quarterback who's going to hang around another 3-4 years.
I think it may be time for Matt to just pack it up.
Well, I think he has at least a year left in him. I think he wants to try to go for one more. And I think he will play next year. But the very good point that you made is that the Rams have given up pretty much their draft capital. What can they do to get what they need? Is they have to work off of plan B, try to work out a deal where they can get draft pick compensation for, they have a couple of players they can move, that can gain them a couple of picks. But just because you don't find, you're not going to have the number one pick anyway. So you forget about Young and forget about CJ Stroud. Start looking at second round quarterbacks and who can make your team physically better.
Okay. Do you think the Rams are the biggest disappointment in the NFL?
It's very close. I'd say it's between them and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, you were going to say the Bucks? To me, I was going to say the Broncos.
And you're not wrong. In my opinion, Denver does belong in there, but I see what's happening in Tampa Bay, and I just take the drama more there than the drama that's happening in Denver.
No, I agree, because what we've been seeing with Tom Brady and
right.
So, what's going on with Giselle,
yes, and Denver definitely belongs in that conversation.
Because Denver, you know what? I'm going to say it, because I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more, and this is a hill I'm willing to die on. The AFC West is the most overrated division. There, I said it.
Yeah, what did you and I and Mike and Dan and Patrick all say at the beginning of the season?
AFC West
was the best division. Is going to have all 4 teams in the playoffs. So
yeah, we said that, and
yes,
and you know what? We will take the L on that one. I at least will take the L on that one. Because they hyped up that division so much.
Well, with rightfully so.
They're like, look you got Pat Mahomes in the AFC for the Chiefs, which he is the best quarterback in the NFL. I will stand by that. You got Justin Herbert with the Chargers. You got Derek Carr with Devontae Adams in Vegas, and then you have Russell Wilson in Denver.
I think that is, if you want to talk about biggest disappointment of a player, then yeah, I'll say Russell Wilson.
But no, I would say if you were to give me, and I would throw Tampa in there too. But the 2 biggest disappointments in the NFL are the Rams, because they are coming off the biggest Super Bowl hangover. Like a worse hangover than waking up on New Year's Day. That bad, folks. That bad. And if anybody's watching, please drink responsibly on New Year's Eve. But anyway,
We'll get to that in 22 days.
Yeah,
20.
but anyway, but I would say they are one of the biggest disappointments. And you know what? I do feel bad because I like Cooper Kupp, who's following my fantasy team out again.
Yeah.
And I like Matt Stafford, but it's just, yeah, this team is a disappointment. So what do you think their focus is going to be in the offseason?
If I'm the Rams, I'm getting somebody to take over for Matt Stafford within the next year or two. I'm looking for some help in the offensive line. And I'm looking for a running back. Now, a running back they can probably obtain via free agency. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to say quarterback, definitely, offensive line, and possibly a safety position, either free or strong.
Okay, I think the offensive line will. I think the offensive line is going to be a big one. And also, I think, like you said, it's, what if, there's also a situation where there talks about possibly Aaron Donald retiring.
Guys had a very good career. I mean, not everybody's going to be playing on your team forever. So eventually, whether it's by injury, by contract, or just simply you had enough, you're going to lose those players one way or another.
But and you know what? You got to think about it this way. Let's say if Aaron Donald retires.
Okay.
Let's say if Matt Stafford, like we both said, he's going to go, he's probably going to want to go at least one more year. But let's say when the season's over, he comes out and says, you know what? I'm done. I'm retiring.
And he has every right to do so.
Like, that's good. That would be good for the Rams because guess what? You free up more salary cap space. You free up more cap space.
Yes and no. I mean, there becomes a dead money issue in there if he has money left on a contract. So they're not squeaky clean, but that if you look at the Rams contracts, there's only one more that is besides Kupp. It's Jalen Ramsey's contract. That's really the biggest hold me down. And Jalen Ramsey is still one of the biggest shutdown corners in football. So,
and I think another thing that the Rams should do is they should be, when it comes to the draft,
mm-hmm.
I think they should be thinking about possible trades for draft picks that they could be making.
It's kind of hard to make trades for draft picks when you don't have a first round pick, as you have pointed out. You're not going to really want to trade 2s to get extra 3s and 4s. And you're not going to want to really trade 3s and 4s to get 1, 2, and then be done early on. So they have a tricky draft to deal with next year. I'm sure they have the right minds in place, though, to put it into where they need it to be.
So, yeah, we just hope in the great city of Los Angeles, the Rams are, hopefully after this season, they are making some ideas to build a better team for next year. And after coming off a terrible Super Bowl hangover. So, okay, what do you think the X factor for both teams is tonight?
Well, for the Raiders, it's pretty simple. It's Josh Jacobs. He has to come out and let's change the word have. He's got to be consistent. He's got to be able to do what he's been able to do on the ground, as well as also being the good pass catching running back that he's been over the last few weeks. So for me, it's Josh Jacobs for the Raiders. As for the Rams, it's the defensive line. And shutting down Josh Jacobs becomes the biggest X factor for the Rams, in my opinion.
I think an important X factor, I think, for the Raiders, like you just said, would be Josh Jacobs because this guy is on fire. But I also think for the Raiders, and this is one I think you need to shut down. This is someone we didn't talk about last night, Tyler Higbee. I think they really need to, because Higbee this year, he has 50 passes for 444 yards. I think that's going to be a big factor tonight. I think for the Rams, I think trying to get Higbee through the defense is going to be one. I think, trying to stop Josh Jacobs, like you said, I think that's going to be a big one. And, something we didn't talk about, what do you think about how do you think Baker Mayfield's going to do tonight? Is he starting or?
Yeah, mind you, I can easily just turn to ESPN. As of 2 hours ago, he was starting tonight. He is active. The question is, what are they going to do with him? I mean, look, any quarterback coming into a system should be able to learn a basic 20-25 play playbook, and then he'll have to learn the rest over time. This is a win-win for Baker Mayfield here, because with Stafford out, if he can prove himself, and challenge Stafford for the position next year, I love a good quarterback duel. What is Baker gonna do tonight? I don't know. I would like to see him come in and try to get comfortable and move the ball a little bit, but in reality, it's a wait and see.
I'm going to agree with you on that. I think he's going to. Maybe he will move the ball around, try to hit a few to Tyler Higbee. But other than that, I'm not expecting a big career game from him tonight.
No, I would say, if anything, either Tutu Atwell or Van Jefferson he's gonna take one shot down the field with them. I think if anybody, that's where your big play is gonna come from. It's gonna be from there.
Yeah. Okay. So, we got something interesting here today. Start, bench, cut. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 players, and you tell me, Mark, which one would you start, which one would you bench, and which one would you cut?
Okay.
Davante Adams, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson.
Wow, Mike, you couldn't have made this one harder. In my opinion, oh boy, I'm gonna get green for this. I'm starting Justin Jefferson. I am benching Cooper Kupp, and I am cutting Davante Adams.
Like, to be honest with you, I'm starting Jefferson as well, but I would bench Davante Adams, and I love you, Coop, but sorry.
The problem with there's no problem with the question is you got 2 players, Cooper Kupp and Davante Adams, who are almost mirrors of each other. So it really comes down to opinion based, and that's what obviously these questions play out for. So
yeah, so I would start Jefferson, bench Adams, and cut Kupp. Okay, and now to end this, what is your prediction for tonight?
I look for the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland and Los Angeles, back to Oakland again, to come out and really blow this game open in the early part of the game, within the first quarter and a half. My final prediction is 28-10 Raiders.
I am going to say my final score is going to be 24-10 Raiders. So that is our show for tonight. If you like what you see here, go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check us out on all platforms. Don't forget to check out our blogs, vlogs, our podcasts. Check us out on Twitter at @SInsanityReal. Check us out here on YouTube at The Sports Insanity Network. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and don't forget to check out Sunday's Sideline Report this Sunday at 10 a.m. And also, Mark, something's going on this Saturday night. Am I right?
Yes,
Mark, this is your thing?
This is my thing. Yes, coming down for the final Halpern points to get for the 2 grand prizes. But if we still would get 2 more members from the SIN crew, we can get it up to a 3rd prize. We have the battle of the SIN members for Saturday night trivia, in which the Dugout of Millwood and Halper Cards and Collectibles, who is a sponsor of the show, that's me, by the way, we'll be giving away not only an autographed baseball, where only 3 were made for the set. We now have an autographed football jersey as the 2nd prize. And if we get a full number, we're going to have a fun 3rd prize. It's going to be for Bill. It's going to be a new bag for him for when they get to the end of the season. No, just kidding.
I have the bag right here.
Oh, I know. The bag has made its appearances. I mean, it really doesn't have to do much more.
Well, if they blow it at the end of the year, I might have to come on here with the bag on again.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So, Mark, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome, Bill.
Well, that is it. I am Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the game, stay safe, and take care.